Hi friends, thank you so much for clicking this video. My name is Chesiyna and you are welcome. So today I want to talk about my university experience. And the reason why I want to do this is I've received a couple of questions over the past few weeks about my experience. So I thought that I should just put this out there, and this is from people in Kenya who want to maybe come and study here in the United States. So that's why I'm putting this video out. Now, I'll start off by saying that my university experience is so different. Why do I say this? I started off in Kenya and then I came to the US, so I studied in two different continents. Then in addition to that, I did go and study all the way through graduate school. So I have undergrad, then graduate school. In addition to that, I was a transfer student and I also switched majors at one point. So a lot of stuff went on during my education. Another thing that I'll probably note as I go through my points is the fact that I completed undergrad in 3 years. 3 years. Is it 3 years or 2.5 years? Yeah, something like that. But yeah, I finished it really fast and I'll explain why that happened. Aside from that, I'm so excited that this will impart some knowledge to you. I know so many people have been asking me about studying abroad, so this will give you really good tips. So if you're ready, just get a cup of tea. Get a cup of tea or coffee or any beverage, relax, and let's begin. Let's start with undergrad. So let me backtrack a bit and say that I went through the 844 system. So I did KCSE in my 4th year in high school in Kenya. And around that time, you had to fill out selection papers for the undergrad school or the public university that you wanted to go to, and I think it was mandatory. So I filled it out, but in the back of my head I knew that my dad would be taking me to private school only because he did not want us to be idle. My dad and my mom were just really big on education and keeping us busy, so they really feared us just sitting at home for 1 or 2 years to wait for the selection to come through. So in as much as I passed really well, I just knew that, okay, I'll be going to a private university, and I had eyes on Strathmore University. My parents really told me that I had this eye for business, and also I was good in mathematics and business as well. And mostly it's because I watched them a lot running their businesses, so I knew, okay, I really had a good eye, and I still have a good eye for it, right? So I just knew, okay, my path will be business or finance. That will be my path. So as soon as we graduated high school, January, I was enrolled in computer classes, so I went and did ICDL, which is International Computer Driver's License, and this was at Kenya Cinema. I don't know if it's still there. The lecturers, they were so nice. So I did my computer packages and went to apply for Strathmore. I think there was 2 entry exams. I think it was English and mathematics, and then you have to fill out the application, submit your transcripts, and I was just waiting with bated breath. My best friend and I had applied, so we were calling each other back and forth. Have you got the offer letter yet? Have you got it? So eventually we did both get it. Went to the same class, and the reason why I was really adamant on going to Strathmore, aside from it being a really good business school, they have a good business school there. 2 of my siblings went through Strathmore and I saw transformation. So they had really good etiquette. They knew how to use a fork and a knife. And then they had this professionalism, they were wearing business clothes. And I just thought, wow, that's that's the transformation that I want to go through. So I couldn't wait. After that, I went for shopping, got all these business clothes. And it was just so much fun because we were already assuming this mindset or this role of being business people. I have to be honest, at the depths of my heart and spirit, I felt as if finance wasn't for me, because in as much as I was really good with math and numbers and I performed really well in my KCSE, I just had this eye for advocacy and helping people. But because my parents had been pushing me to do business since I was really young, I just knew that, okay, this is my path. And at that time in Kenya, not too many schools were offered like social work type of jobs or public health. There were really few, and mostly it was in the public schools, and you had to like wait for a long time. And yeah, so in essence, I just went to Strathmore because that was the fastest way for me to get in, and I was really excited. I spent 1 year there, and one thing that I would note is in Strathmore, you are a full-time student. 8 to 5, or is it 8 to 4? I can't remember. You go in and you're a full-time student. All you do is wake up, eat, read, go back home and sleep. That's all you did. You're a full-time student, right? So my friend and I, we applied to join ISEC. And ISEC, I don't know how to explain it, but it's kind of like a club where you get cultural immersion. And I thought that would be perfect for me, the opportunities to travel, network, and connect with people all over the world. So we were so sold on it, and there was like a formal interview, and we got in, and we were this really nice small cohort. I really loved, we were like a family there. And I still remember the president for our year. I think he's in Canada right now. So it was just amazing entering ISEC and getting my feet wet with networking and trying to pivot my extroverted self, because I'm an introvert, but I was like, let me try to be more extroverted and get out of my shell. So honestly, I really, really enjoyed my time in Strathmore. I spent 1 year there. There were so many opportunities as far as volunteer work. The professors were amazing. Okay, so once I won my green card in 2006, so from 2005 to 2006 I was in Strathmore. So once I got my green card, my mom said, hey, this is the end of your education here in Kenya because you have to plan to go to America. So one thing that I did is that I got my transcripts ready, and the dean was amazing. He wrote a letter, sealed it up, and I came to America. So when I came to America, I was waiting for in 2007, I came to America. So I was waiting for my social security card and all this stuff. So I had yet another sabbatical. So in essence, I was out of school for like almost a year, if not more. I was out of school for almost a year. But eventually I got my social security, so I couldn't join in the spring class. So I had to wait till fall. So at that time I was working, and I joined finance school. But before I did, of course, I wanted to transfer my credits, because I was like, hey, if I can be able to advance with all the credits that I have, that'll be amazing. So they took my transcript and they went to evaluate it. There's this company that does it. I guess it just depends on the school, but there's a specific company that actually evaluates your transcript. So what I would say is ensure that your school is accredited, because Strathmore is accredited and internationally recognized. So all my credits transferred as a pass, And I went from first year to a junior. Yes, actually well into my junior year. So it was just amazing. It was just amazing because I was like, okay, in as much as I spent 1 year finalizing my green card and immigrating, almost a year and a half, I felt good that, okay, I'll still be graduating maybe even sooner than my peers in Kenya. So that was really amazing. And when I joined university, I went to a Christian university in Virginia, a private school, only because, again, my dad was afraid that if I go to a public school here in America, I would get negative influence. So he was like, you're going to a Christian school, you and your siblings. My siblings had a student visa. They came on student visa. So yeah, we went to a private Christian university. It was really lovely. But what I would note is that I was working so hard. So I did not have, unlike in Kenya where I was able to go to ISEC, do all these activities, it's like overnight. In Kenya, I was a dependent. I was living rent-free. My only job was, hey, just go to school. Then when I come to America, all of a sudden, I'm a head of household and I have to work. I'm independent. So there were so many responsibilities and I legit had to work to put food on the table for myself. So it was quite the transition. So what I noticed is I was unable to have the same amount of interactions as far as clubs because I was in ISEC in Kenya. So I was invited to a sorority because my GPA was really high. I had a 4.0. So I didn't even apply. I just got a letter in the mail saying that, hey, Heather, we want to invite you to this sorority, blah, blah, blah. And I was really impressed because in all the American movies that I watched, I always used to hear about sororities and fraternities. So I was like, oh my goodness, this is such an honor for me to get an invitation. I didn't even apply. But as I said, I was working so hard that I had to turn down the offer because I just thought, okay, what time will I have to be able to attend all these events? And you know, they're very strict because it's like a family. So you have to attend events and support each other. I was like, okay, I don't want to sign up for something that I can't deliver. So up till now, I do regret it because I know people up till now in their 30s or in their 40s, they still have friendships and community with their sororities. So for me, that was something that I was like, man, I wish that I had the time to be able to join it. Yeah, so, and then after that, you know, I was doing my finance. I had to move to DC because I was in a rural town. I was in a rural town, and in that rural town, there were not too many opportunities. So I moved over to DC, then I went online. So you can see the flavor of all the experiences that I had. I had so many experiences. But before I went to DC, I did join a club called ASAD. It's, I think, Students of African Descent, Association of Students of African Descent. And what I liked about that club is actually I missed so many meetings, but I would attend once in a blue moon when there was like a big event. There was this event called International Cultural Day, and every country had to cook and display their food. So that's the only time that I would come because I'm like, yeah, I want to cook. So what we would do is, and this is just so sweet, and it just tells you how much as East Africans we're just so together here in America. So often the Tanzanians and the Kenyans would just we would move our stands together and just say East Africa, because we're cooking the same thing. Like, why are we wasting time cooking two different batches of mandazi? It's the same thing. Why are we cooking 2 different batches of chapati? It's the same thing. So we would push our stands together and collaborate and cook. And I'm telling you that our stand was always a hit, and we would run out of food like in record time. So that was really enjoyable. So I loved Assad because it really brought us together. And yeah, so that was just one of the highlights of being an international student and really identifying with, you know, other East Africans there. Yeah, so when I went online, it was really hard because when I came to DC, now I was working, oh my goodness, sometimes I was working like 50 hours a week, and I still need to study my finance classes. And I'm telling you, up till now, online classes are a scam. I mean, unless nowadays I know that there's a lot of interaction, but back in the day, online classes, there was not too much technology as there is right now. Back in the day, you are the one who is doing all the reading and all this. The professor won't even come online and do a video. That's how it was back in the day. So I was teaching myself complex finance classes. So up till now, I just have this negative feeling about online classes because it was so hard my last semester being online because I'm working 50 hours a week in DC. I'm trying to adjust to the busy, hectic life here, and I'm online. But in any case, I graduated, and I'll put a picture of my graduation. I was in front of the campus police, so I'm gonna put a picture on the screen for you to see. And I remember I wasn't really big on attending my graduation, but my sister was like, hey, you have to do it because it's not been easy. Your journey has not been easy with immigrating and all these moving parts. You have to really celebrate. So I'm glad that I was able to celebrate and my undergrad success. So that was really amazing. So I graduated from undergrad around the time that the recession had started. Wall Street was crumbling at that time, so graduating with a finance degree was really difficult. Now, one thing that I would note is the school that I went to, it was a Christian school, and their business school was fairly new, and they did not have a lot of networks. So I felt as if there was not too much support in that aspect because I noticed friends of mine in the DC area that I was working with, they went to the Robert H. Smith Business School in University of Maryland. They went to Eastern Shore and Bowie State and all, American University. All these universities have networks. So what happens is as you graduate, you have a job lined up, salaried job. So I felt really bad because everyone around me, in as much as there was a recession, they had job offers waiting for them when they graduated. So for me, I remained at that time I was in an entry-level healthcare job, and I was like, you know what, I'll just stay here. Because in any case, I was not too much of a fan of finance anyways, in as much as I was really good with numbers and I had an eye for it, I had an eye for accounting. I said, okay, so maybe this is fate. So I'll just stick with this healthcare patient advocacy thing. So that's what I did. So I stayed in this healthcare patient advocacy, and I found that, oh my goodness, I love it and I'm actually excelling at it. Things came so easy for me. So I was like, okay, so I guess this was fate. I was supposed to be here. So after several years of working in patient advocacy, I felt as if, okay, I need to take it a notch higher because I just didn't like the idea of finance being on my resume, because anytime people see finance, they're like, you're in finance, but you did finance in undergrad, but you're here, everyone. That was such a question. So I decided, okay, I'm just going to go to graduate school, make this legit, and do something that I really love. So I chose to do social work. So master's in social work with a concentration in clinical behavioral health. And you do a lot of public policy classes, which was right up my alley as far as advocacy, because that's what I was doing at my job. We're doing a lot of advocacy in Capitol Hill. So I said, okay, this is right up my alley. I'll go ahead and do it. So I ended up leaving my job, and guess what? I started graduate school full-time when I had a 3-month-old baby. Everyone thought I was insane. So I remember when I was going for orientation, oh my goodness, I feel like laughing right now and crying at the same time, just mixed feelings. So I just remember when I was going for orientation, actually my son was he wasn't even 12 weeks yet when I was going for orientation. Yeah, so so he was just a few weeks old. I left him with my aunt. So I traveled to Baltimore and I had my breast pump. And during break, everyone was going to eat and socialize, and I was running to the front desk and I was like, do you have nursing room? And I had my ice in my bag. So already I was like, I looked around and I was like, okay, I just have to have the right mindset to be able to graduate from this really intense school. Like, this was the school that I went to is it one of the best schools in social work in America, and it's really intense. It's really, really intense. So I just remember going into the nursing room, removing my breast pump, and I was just like, okay, I just preparing myself, and I was like, okay, I can do this. This will be 2 years, but it's going to be worth it. So that's just what I was telling myself in my head. Okay, it's going to be worth it. And yeah, that was it. That's how it started. And in addition to that, you had to do internship. So I was an intern therapist as well. So lots of things. I'm telling you, during graduate school, it was a whole different beast, if I should say, because there were days that I was reading on my bedroom floor because I'm watching my son sleep. There were days where I had fevers, not me, but my child had fevers, and I had to work through it. But all in all, it's just amazing, the grace of God, because I was top of my class in every single class, and everyone was like, wow, you're a mom of 3 kids. No one could believe that. And there was a time where I had to submit a paper and I came with one of my children and people were like, oh my gosh, like, are you kidding me? How are you going through graduate school as a mom? And I was like, hey, this has always been my dream. Yes. So what I would say is that I did get a lot of support. Mindset was everything. Self-care was everything. In social work school, when you go for orientation, the first thing that they hammer in your psyche is self-care, self-care, self-care. So for me, that was something that I had to really put down pat from the get-go. Self-care. So that's something that I wanted to know. Let me see if I missed anything about graduate school. What I would say is that I did have a really good clinical eye, and a lot of my professors were like, wow, you get concepts really fast. And I had several professors like call me to the side and say, wow, okay, that's really good. You know, writing 30, 40-page papers. Yeah. But what I would say is that I was really good with planning, because I had and maybe I can talk about it, but I had a system of writing papers so that I'm not like pulling all-nighters writing a paper, because I couldn't do that. I had a small baby. I could not do that. Yeah, so I felt as if I was very, very natural as far as my clinical work, and I was craving that theoretical knowledge so that I could be able to apply it at work. I don't know if you're the kind of person who learns from practical aspect of things. For me, I think I'm a mesh. I have a theoretical side where I need to understand the genesis of things. I don't like when people just brush things and say, oh, it's just this is the way it is. No, I want to understand, how do things work? Like, I want to literally pop the hood and see, okay, this is how things work. That's how I understand. I really like doing a deep dive, right? Yeah, and that's basically it. I did graduate, and when I was graduating, of course, it was during the pandemic. So it was last year, 2021. Yeah, 2021. So of course there was a graduation ceremony, but there were so many stipulations. Like, you had to wear a mask, you can't get, like, it was just so much. And I was like, okay, that's fine, I'm not going to attend. So I didn't attend my graduate school graduation, but our school was really lovely because they did like slides of us and lots of cheers, and they were also doing it virtual. So I attended my graduation school virtually. But yeah, that's basically it. If I could compare undergrad and graduate school, is with graduate school I felt so fulfilled because I was finally doing the degree that I wanted, not the one that my parents wanted, but the ones I wanted. And I think that's why I thrived so much. There is a blog post that I wrote on my clinical blog or my wellness blog about 9 things that every mom should know when they want to attend graduate school. So if you want to read that, please do, because I list like really systematic things that you need to keep in mind if you're a mom who's thinking of going to, college, university, or graduate school, and you're really scared about it. So I'll put a link in the description box because it has some really, really good gems. Okay, so I know there's this ongoing debate of people just wondering, is university worth it? And what I would say is it depends, because I believe university is not for everyone. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. It's not for everyone. However, depending on your learning style, I believe you could benefit from it. Why do I say this? University has a way of just really condensing all this information. People have sat down and have really come up with the curriculum and the courses that you need to take so that you can be able to succeed. And with all that condensed information jam-packed, it's amazing. It's kind of like an accelerated way of you being a subject matter expert in something. So for you to do it alone, it takes a lot of discipline. I think apprenticeship is really good, but again, you have to go back and do the theoretical work, because I don't think it's enough for you just to understand the practical aspect of things. There are some people who are gifted in, maybe they can just grasp the practical aspect of something, and then the theoretical part just comes to them. I think they're just gifted. Or some people who are just gifted in the theoretical part and they can apply it to the practical aspect. I've seen people work like that, and it's amazing. For me, as I said, I'm a mix of both. So I'm one of those people who I'm not even satisfied with my master's. I'm still craving to go back and do something else, maybe certifications, and maybe down the line another master's. I don't know if I can do a doctorate, I don't know. But yeah, so for me, I think I'm the ideal candidate to do that. So let me see what else I wrote here. I know some people find details overwhelming, or the idea of university overwhelming, but maybe you can just change your mindset. I think just change your mindset, because as I said before, I went to graduate school as a mom, doing with a small baby, still breastfeeding, and I was able to graduate top of my class. And I got several job offers just based off of, the work that I did. So why am I saying that? I'm saying that it's all about mindset. If you really want to do something, just please go ahead and evaluate those negative thoughts or beliefs and all that self-talk that you're giving yourself, those limiting beliefs. Just go ahead and evaluate why you have them and try to counter them, because I think everything is truly possible. So what I would say is, as far as the undergrad model and the graduate school model, honestly, I prefer the graduate school model. Why do I say this? In undergrad, I feel as if, and I'm not trying to knock off the foundational classes. I feel as if, okay, it's important, but there are just some, like if you are business major and you have to do like 2 or 3 biology classes, like for me, I feel as if you're paying all that money to do your major, I feel as if you should do more of the business classes. I don't know. With graduate school, I like the model because right off the bat, you're specializing in what you came to do. So you're not doing all those or English 101 and all this stuff. So I know there's some people who need to do it, especially if like English is maybe a second language and you're an immigrant and this is the first time that you're coming to learn English. Okay, yeah, I understand that. But for me, in as much as English is technically my second or my third language, that's what we learn in school. So for me, it's like, why am I taking English? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being weird, but I just feel as if with graduate school, it was just so much fun. And maybe that's why it's so expensive, graduate school, because I'm telling you, it's so worth it. It's so worth it. Like the amount of information that I have from graduate school, I can't wait to execute it, because right now I'm probably using only 1% of what I learned. So I can't wait to at least use it. So for me, I just believe, oh my goodness, I'm about to swallow my words. For me, I just believe the graduate model is really good. That's what I think. Another thing is, of course, I wish the educational system, especially here in America, I wish it was more affordable. And I'm glad that people right now in government are having those conversations about, hey, has it been really affordable this time? And I know they are really evaluating and they're looking at certain schools that have probably been overcharging people. So for me, I truly wish it was more affordable, because it's unfortunate that people who are built for university and graduate school, they forego it, not because they don't want to, but it's because it's not affordable. So for me, that's one thing that I'm like, oh man, I just hope it changes. Another thing is that what I would say about school is, don't box yourself. Don't box yourself. Like the reason why I'm saying this is, especially with social work and maybe other majors, people go through it and they say, okay, this is the only path that I have with this particular major. What I would say is, think outside the box. Now, I'm going to give you an example that is way out of the box, but it just tells you that you can do anything. Now, if you go to social work school, they really teach you a lot about, of course, psychology, how to talk to people, and all this stuff. So you really get some amazing skills. If you go to social work school, what I would tell you, or any clinical school, take motivational interviewing. That's all that I'll say. Take motivational interviewing. It's really good. So I remember that I worked with this realtor once, and he was awesome. He had really good listening skills. He was empathetic, and the way he was like really talking to me, I was like, okay, this guy is different. So, and I couldn't pinpoint where. So along the way, when we were working with him, he asked me, hey, are you a social worker? And I was like, oh, I'm actually in social work school. And he was like, I knew it. I could spot you from a mile away. And I was like, yeah, I could spot you. So he actually confessed and he said, oh, I graduated in social work. So I was like, okay, yeah, I knew there was something different about you. So what he said is the skills that he learned, like, you know, the reflective skills and all these things in like motivational interviewing and all these things that they teach you in social work school, was able to help him become like one of the top realtors in this area. And man, he's the kind of person who, he will close that deal, okay? He will close that deal. So yeah, what I would say is don't box yourself. So for me, he told me, hey, graduate school was the best thing ever. Yes, I didn't go through that same path that all social workers go through, but it's been amazing. And in the same token, I know there's so many social workers, although they're not actively practicing, but I know Brene Brown, she's a social worker, she's writing books and she's doing public speaking. I know, I'll just put a list on the screen of all these social workers who are doing really amazing things. So what I would say is don't box yourself. Whether you are doing agriculture or you're doing business or whatever you're doing, try to be creative in how you do it. If you're starting a YouTube channel and you have a background in art, music, design, there are many ways that you can do your craft that's not necessarily conventional. But guess what? It works. So that's what I would say, is just challenge yourself to think outside the box. And then also for me, I feel as if, especially in this space of motivation, social work has been really incredible, especially because I understand mental health. I'm able to approach certain topics with caution, because sometimes I see certain people who do motivation and some of the things that people say, I'm like, are you serious? Like, there was a time a few months ago, I heard someone who had this big following who was saying that you don't need to go to therapy. There's just so much hype around therapy. And in my head, I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? And they went on and on this rant telling people that you don't need to do any therapy, it's overhyped, it's all this thing, it's the buzzword. And I was like, my goodness, what? Like, clearly you don't understand what you're talking about. So that's what I'm saying. For me, in as much as I don't directly do therapy and I stay away from that really super clinical stuff, I just talk about self-care mostly and mindset and mindfulness. But I feel as if my knowledge that I learned in graduate school really helps me. It helps me write my books, basically it's really helping me, and I feel as if I'm only using 1%. So guys, I cannot wait to use more than 1% so that it can benefit you guys. And that is it, folks. I know this was a bit of a long one. Hopefully it's, oh my goodness, it's a long one. So I think it's almost like, it should be almost like 30 something minutes. But in any case, I'm just doing this video because I've received lots of questions about studying here. So if I haven't answered your question, please tell me, message me. You can go to my website and use a contact form, because I'm really not active on social media. I hardly log on there. So please go to my contact form on my website. I'll link it in the description box, or you can just put it in the comment section if it's something not private, and I'll get back to you guys. So that's it, folks. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And guess what? I'll see you on the next one.